best intro ever. Hello, welcome to Paranormal Kativity. Kiana's back.
I'm back.
And this time, instead of cookies, she's brought tea. Look how freaking fancy. I feel like a proper lady. It's so cute. Did we just do this same time? What we decided we would do is talk about shadow people. Which we've been talking about this for ages.
It's been like, what, 4 months? We were like, hey, let's talk about those.
Yeah.
And then there was a request on your thing
yes.
to talk about that.
And so we were like, well, it's meant to be.
We gotta do it now. What are shadow people?
I think a lot of people assume shadow people are scary. For me, the first thing that I ever saw, I called Shadow Man. I never had anything negative associated with it.
I think they could be negative or positive. Like sometimes they're just like, oh, I'm here just to be here. Like I know yesterday when I was looking at stuff, a lot of people see them with hats. Like,
and I've heard, I think it was Brittany44, if you know her on YouTube, but she had a video where she thought like possibly the Hat Man was related to shadow people in that they're like a next level of shadow people, or like the hat people than the shadow people, or like the Hat Man if there's just one.
You've upgraded, here's your hat.
Yeah. Which, I don't know, everything in the paranormal is so like open, like anything could be anything.
Yeah.
For me that didn't really like hit home. I feel like they're separate.
As you said, with them being like negative and positive, my experiences have been not so positive, but I mean, I guarantee there's people out there that have positive experiences with them, so
I want to know your experiences, and this tea is delectable.
Thanks.
What kind is this? Pear something?
Asian pear and like papaya guava, and then the other one we have on tap is
on tap.
On tap.
The TARDIS one has like what, apple cider tea?
It's apple cider. It was a fall tea that they were doing a special on. Basically, they wanted to get rid of it, and I was like, I'll take all of it. My shadow person experience was
like how old were you when you had it?
14, 15.
So like not all that long ago.
Not
really.
all that long ago. It was during a time where there were a lot more like negative influences on my life, so I feel like that might have had something to do with it too. It would always happen, I would be asleep. I would wake up I realized later it was like almost like an out-of-body experience, but I would wake up, like I could see all of my room and I could see myself asleep. And I could see, it was dark, but I could see like a figure kind of outlined just in the dark. This would last for about maybe, I don't know how long it would actually last, but maybe like a minute or so. And then I'd wake up and then I'd just go back to sleep. And this would go on every night for a while or every other night. And I noticed that it would always happen between like 2:30 and 3:30 in the morning. At one point, I sleep with a timer on my TV because I need noise to go to sleep. I have a fan and I have my TV going. So at one point, after a while of this going on, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna test something. When I actually woke up after this sequence of having the dream, seeing the dude, and seeing myself asleep, I turned my TV back on just to see what would happen. And I went back to sleep. I had the dream again almost right after that, which was unusual because it would normally happen, like I would have it once a night and then wake up and go back to sleep. But after I went back to sleep this time, I had it again. Only this time, instead of the dude staring at like my sleeping form, it was staring up where like my view
Your consciousness
my
was
conscious
seeing
was. It was looking up there, and I was like, okay, I'm done with this. You gotta go. I got sage leaves the next day and like pinned them up everywhere in my room, and I did a couple of other things too. I don't remember exactly what I did. Like one of them I think involved getting iron and just waving it around my room. I didn't have the dream after that.
I know. I went to a
bay leaves. It was bay leaves, not
bay
sage
leaves?
leaves. Yeah, it was just bay leaves.
I went to a friend's place one time. She had a little like tea shop actually. I walked in one night and she had garlic cloves over every doorway, and I was like, what's with the garlic? And she's like, you noticed it? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, it's just to cleanse it.
I put mine over my doorways too. I put mine like over my bedroom door, I put it over the closet door, I put it by the window that's by my bed, and I put it like right over where I sleep too.
Yeah, so like there's natural things that people are drawn to for like cleansing that just instinctively we do it and we know it's
and also
work.
Now I have a bunch of different crystals in my room.
Which we need to have a rock talk.
Yes. Next video, rock talk.
Whatever you did something. So was it just a shadow figure?
It was just a shadow figure. It was probably about 6.5 feet tall, which was, my room's not that tall, so it was almost touching the ceiling.
Okay.
Which made it a little bit bit scarier because it was so tall. And
Right.
also it didn't have any discernible facial features, but you could tell, or at
Like
least
you
I
could tell
tell
direction?
Yeah, I could
Okay.
tell the difference between it looking at real me sleeping and looking at corporeal form me on the ceiling. So that was interesting.
Now, do you dream where you are like out of body often? Because I've never had like an out of body experience or like an astral travel kind of thing.
That's really the only time that's ever happened.
Because I want to learn how to do it.
I don't know how to do it. It just would happen, and I don't know what to call him. Shadow Dude had anything to do with that, or
Shadow Dude.
I haven't seen him since. I'll see stuff out of the corner of my eyes every now and then, like if I'm doing something and I'll see something move, and I'll be like, what was that? But I think everybody has that.
At least for me, like whenever I have stuff like that happen, I just think it's something else. Because I feel like a lot of things are probably more connected to me than I realize, and it's probably not all the same thing.
Yeah. I'll also notice too, though, this is probably just eyes playing tricks on me, but whenever it's dark out and you're just looking out into the dark, like outside or something, sometimes you'll see like stuff moving about. I don't know whether that's actually something or if that's just trees moving around, because where I live there's a bunch of trees, like it's all wooded area, so
Yeah.
I never know if it's just tree branches moving around or if it's like, hey, there's more shadow dudes out there.
Being in Indiana, it's already naturally kind of weird.
We talked about
Yeah,
that.
we talk about that all the time. It's just like a weird Midwest vibe
Like
that's put out there.
something old is here, we don't know what it is, but it's just here.
It's like the land has something attached to it, and like regionally it just has this weirdness to it.
Every place has something weird about it.
Yeah, and she's done quite a bit of traveling across the US, and she's like felt different feelings with different like territories kind
Yeah.
of, which is really cool. A lot of people around here especially can look out in the woods and find something almost immediately, whether it's just our imaginations all being linked to like this place or if it's actually stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Which it could be both.
It
It's an
is.
equal mix of both stuff being there and then our imaginations. Maybe the stuff that's there knows that we have active imaginations, so
Right.
they kind of play in on that.
When it comes to like what actually shadow people are, we've both kind of talked about it and looked into it, and there's not like a whole lot of definite stuff. It's usually like we don't know or it's evil.
Everything I've seen was like, oh, they're demons, or oh, they're not demons. We don't know what they are. Or sometimes they have eyes, sometimes they don't. Who knows?
At least for me, it's a bit of like a pet peeve, especially in movies. Movies have a bad habit of doing this. And one of my favorite horror movies is Paranormal Activity. But they're one of the biggest violators of it is they say, well, according to this book, if it's a dead person, it's a ghost or a spirit, and anything else is a demon. Like,
No.
and I'm totally not a part of that. I think there's so much more than just like deceased people that could be out there that we could be connecting with.
Yeah, there's
That it's
more.
just such like a broad generalization, and it dumbs it down for people, and it drives me crazy.
Which, I mean, I guess they might be doing that too, so that way the people out there that aren't too much into paranormal stuff, they can have like, okay, this is that, and this is the other thing, but...
And I think that's why they do it in movies like Ouija, which also is, I mean, horror movies are horror movies, but it's
Ouija
just
was so
bad.
bad that it was good.
Yes.
The moments that were supposed to be scary weren't scary, they were funny.
And I feel like they make the rules even more scary, and they make the game even more scary, and they just make it all horrifying because that's
and
their job.
And that's where people get the whole spooked issue of, oh, do I want to play Ouija? It's scary. Am I gonna die if I play it?
And it's just like,
No.
no, there's so much more to it than what you get from little places. But
Like, you don't always get spooky stuff. Like, we got Mozzie.
So
I'm
think,
sure Mozzie would like cake too.
Oh.
I'm sure.
Next time we have to do cake. That just has to happen.
It's the next obvious step.
A lot of people assume whatever this is negative or dark.
It
And I
doesn't have to be.
Yeah, I feel like if I was something outside of here and I had the ability to communicate with something here, I might not be able to control the form that I appear to people. And I feel like it would probably be different from person to person also. For all we know, to another person or in another way, they might come across completely different looking.
Within the weeks that I had been having those dreams, I remember I was looking on there. I remember seeing a couple of theories on it. They said that depending on their height could tell you stuff on things. Like if they're human-sized, they're more likely like just human-ish things.
I read about imps not long ago, and I mentioned it in one of my last videos, and they always appear as like a darker, shadowy figure, but they're like child-sized.
If they're taller, that's when you start getting into the more
Like
ominous things, which
Yeah.
kind of had me worried because mine was tall and in my room and I didn't want it there.
Plus, I mean, like, you're not short, but you're not tall. You're like pretty average,
I'm
maybe on the
average
shorter
sized,
side.
yeah.
So yeah, like that would be intimidating already to be like,
Yeah,
whoa,
it was
who's
like,
this?
oh, all right, you're tall, cool.
But I think the most interesting part of that is the fact that it found you viewing it, not sleeping you.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
That was the part that scared me the most, because then at that point I was like, okay, it knows that I'm...
At that point, you're almost kind of on the same level. For all you know, you might appear as something visible to it as well.
I might be taller. I might be the spookier one. Need to get more tea.
Me too!
It makes you feel warm inside. Another thread I remember seeing too was this guy. He said that he had experiences with it, like a similar experience to mine, but he actually had a conversation with his, and it was like...
Was it audible? Or do you remember what, like, could he physically hear?
I don't remember, I don't think he ever specified, but I just remember he was talking about how he had a conversation with it, and that it didn't mean him harm, and it was there to protect him from others of its kind. And he learned that they were guardians of sorts, but they were only to one person. Mine did not feel like the guardian sort, it was just there. I don't really know what its purpose was, but I was not cool with it.
And I know I've had a few people like message me from YouTube and be like, I have something in my house and it's really freaking me out, but sometimes in the circumstances they describe, I'll be like, if you're uncomfortable, tell it to go away. But keep in mind that sometimes if something's trying to help, if it's the only way it can appear to you, it might come across scary, but it might not mean to. And then they're like, oh, that makes so much sense. And it's so hard to like actually identify anything because like everybody has such different terminology for different stuff, and so you could easily say like what you feel it is and define it, and then somebody's gonna believe in the exact same thing but not believe in that word.
Yeah. I don't know why I keep using this spoon to drink out of. It's not reasonable to drink out of it. I need to stop, but I can't. It's so
too
tiny.
cute.
Look at it.
So we're doing additional research on our phones on shadow people, and I just came across one that has a theory that maybe shadow people are what people look like when they astral project.
Which led me to wonder, why were they astral projecting in my room? Maybe they just ended up there on accident and they were just as confused as I was.
Like all of a sudden they're like just standing there like, who's this sleeping chick? Oh crap. She sees me and she's a shadow person too. So maybe your theory was right, like maybe I looked scarier than they did. I mean, you might have.
Who knows?
I like that one though.
I like that one too. I feel less scared of the thing now.
And then we just found too that these have been cited like throughout history all the way back to like what?
1153 BC.
Yeah.
Like indigenous people were having sightings of them too. Is interesting.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are arguing whether they're a new phenomenon or whether they have always happened but for whatever reason are happening more now. But I think a lot of it is we're having more discussion on it because we have the internet.
And we did see interdimensional beings coming up a lot.
Yeah, interdimensional or parallel dimensions.
I have a lot of people saying like the Hat Man is a shadow person, but it's not. It's much more malevolent.
I'm still just...
People have theories.
Welcome to the afterlife. Here's your hat.
It's like a graduation ceremony. You astral project so much in life, and then once you actually die, you get your hat.
Maybe as they get stronger, they just get more hats, and they just come on.
I was just reading. Some are fedoras, some are top hats, some are straw hats. It's like maybe there's like different levels of hat graduation. Ooh, I like this one too. Some believe that they're supernatural beings and possibly angels that are trying to warn the living of devastating events or situations.
It makes me wonder about imaginary friends too.
Ooh!
I feel like every kid has at some point had some sort of imaginary friend. I know I did. Her name was Angelica. It was...
That's adorable.
She was...
Do you remember seeing her?
I remember seeing her. She had wings. She was gray.
That's so cool!
Gray had wings and had like feathers. Animals may be more perceptive to shadow people than humans.
That would make sense. No, I just remembered it's totally kind of unrelated, but there was it was like a writing prompt we found on Reddit, and it was talking about like people sighting in the corner of their eyes in dreams these tall, long-fingered, dark things.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. That sounds almost like be considered a trigger for like lucid dreaming, like if you notice that every time and you're like, oh, this is a dream.
Yeah.
Because I can't lucid dream, but I can tell when I'm in a dream, and it's always, I can always tell because I'm in a situation that is very stressful. I'm like, hey, this actually could not happen in real life. And most of the time after that, I wake up.
I go between my sleep paralysis stuff and my dream awareness stuff. So like I can't.
This is spooky.
Oh, it sucks so bad. I can't seem to do it when I'm in the sleep paralysis moment, and when I do, I'm like, nope, it's too real. It's too real. It has to be real, even though it's not. But in my dreams, I can tell if it's a normal dream if my phone doesn't work.
Well,
like, I can't get it to dial.
One of the things that I can tell if it's a dream or not, I will somehow end up in water with my phone, and I'm always like, this sucks. Wait a minute, I'm dreaming.
What's gonna happen though when you drop your phone in a pool one day and you're like, wait, this
Paradox.
is real.
Everything implodes on itself. There's some very loud.
Oh, it's my
things
air
outside.
conditioner.
Oh.
I should probably shut the door. Sorry if the audio sucked. This one's interesting.
What?
People quantum leaping or traveling through time.
What does a time traveler want with my room?
Again, yeah, it's like, why would they just talk to people in their sleep mostly?
Did they end up there on accident? I don't know. Another theory about shadow people is that they are deceased humans who either do not want to return back to the source or are unaware that home is no longer there.
I just found one that says the shadow is an indication of their spiritual condition, with the absence of light denoting that they would indicate a lack of knowledge or fear. So maybe it's something where they're like not able to completely communicate, so that's why they're that way.
How to protect yourself from shadow people.
So help me if it's like bay leaves and garlic. You'd be like,
Yoga breathing. Oh, this is like a guide through a meditation thing.
So something that I've thought about doing, and I don't know if I actually will because I don't want to scare people too bad, but I listen to guided meditation like almost every night as I fall asleep. And I really like guided visualizations where you like go different places. And I thought about doing horror ones. But I don't know how scary that would be for people. And I don't want people to be like, oh my god, I can never listen to you again. You're terrifying.
I'd be interested.
Okay.
Maybe not guided meditations, but just to listen to it and be like, you have a twisted imagination. That reminds me of the, I forget what they call it, but when they do audio, like it's stereo to where it's like it involves both ears and they do stuff like, I know there's like the haircut one where
ASMR.
Yeah.
I hate that stuff. For me it's the spit. Up in your ear and it's like, no!
Please stop.
I don't want to hear this right now. I'm trying to sleep.
Can a shadow person attack you?
A girl on YouTube who I adore named Stephanie, her channel's StephC'sGhosts, has a story where she was chased by a shadow figure. Terrifying. Like, yeah. And it was a group sighting. She was with other people when they saw this thing in a street, and they turned around and she ran.
Oh,
she was
that
the last
reminds
one.
me of that story that I told you about in the house next door to mine, the abandoned one that...
Well, do tell.
Okay, so, there's a house next door to mine that, people that I know, they own it, but they don't live in it anymore, that they still own it. And I would used to go in there every now and then, as would my cousins, because we all know the person who owns it. It's a family member. At one point, we would all joke about it being haunted. I remember one time we were up there, and I was the only one left upstairs. Everybody else had, like, left already and had gone outside, and I was in a room, and there was the room I was in, a connecting closet in the other room. Mind you, everybody was out of the building. Like, I was the only person left in that upper floor. And I'm just looking around. And then that closet door, it doesn't just open, it slams open. And I didn't really stick around to see why it did that. I just ran down the stairs and out the house, and the whole time was yelling. And
well, yeah!
Because that was...
I've even heard that story before you gave me goosebumps. That's creeping me out.
Other stuff has happened to that house too, like curtains will just move on their own, not like wind moving them, but like somebody's actually pulling them back, like peeking out the window.
This one says that it could be a creature some way linked to greys or reptilians.
I'm the same ghost.
Yes! Lizard alien ghost. With a hat.
With a hat! With a hat!
I kind of want to draw this now.
I'm gonna.
No, this one says, shadow ghosts are not devils, demons, aliens, or anything else most people theorize, but people, and how they look is due to two different factors: their inner condition / state of their soul, or how we are able to perceive them in the visible spectrum.
For the most part, the most damage they do is just emotional, like, scaring people.
So we're basically gonna try and wrap up the talk, which was definitely a talk, because we don't have the answers.
We don't have any answers.
Yeah.
Stuff and things.
But I'm sure there's other people who feel like they've been, like,
share your shadow
physically-
people stories. I want to hear them.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people have encountered something that has appeared as a shadow figure. And I'm sure there's been positive and negative and scary and beautiful experiences all wrapped up.
We want to hear all of them.
Yes. Well, thanks for hanging out with us today, and we'll see you next time.
Eat your vegetables.
Yep. Okay, bye! Bye! Hey, so we just wrapped the video, and Kiana remembered something else that
I remembered a cool thing. At one point, a friend and I went and we saw a psychic once, and this was not long after the shadow person incident happened, but it was maybe like a month or so after that, and I didn't say anything about it, but somehow this psychic was able to catch on to that, and she gave me, like, tips on how to make sure it doesn't come back around again, and I really haven't had to use any of them. It's basically just meditation focusing on light.
But she busted this out on you without you saying anything?
I didn't say anything, and she's just like, you have issues with dark negative energy sometimes, don't you? And I was like, maybe. And then she elaborated more on
That's
shadow
so
people,
cool.
and that was neat.
That is neat. So I wanted to throw that in there.
All right.
Okay,
Sorry,
bye.
I forgot things. Bye.